Hi, this is Dave from Heroes Needed, just one of the many fine shows you can find on the Nod Network. Visit us on nerdod.com or subscribe on iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, or wherever else you get your favorite podcasts.
Did you force yourself to watch the Sony announcement that happened the other day?
Right, okay, so prepare yourself for the next, how long have we got left? 45 minutes? 45 minutes of Reg going, oh, because, oh.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd OD podcast. I'm Dan and you are...
I'm Reg.
And that's it. That was the easiest intro we've done in the last, 11 weeks, 10 weeks? Because we didn't have to worry about someone else speaking over each other because those two are nowhere to be found.
I know, literally the first day the shop's open and they think, you know what, sod it, life's back as normal, let's sod off the podcast and just do our normal life.
Chilling out in the Cheshire Oaks queue that apparently was about 2.5 hours, but never mind. Silly people.
We went into Chester this morning, that's our local town. We went in there because we had an appointment to go collect a load of Oliver's toys that Ash purchased through the lockdown period, but it's like a small independent store called Weasel and the Bug. And it's awesome, it's just full of wooden toys and it's like a haven for Oliver. The minute we step through, he's just like, ooh, just wants to just either A, destroy everything or B, play with everything. It's just like those are the two options that they've got, and that's it. So we went
after his father.
I genuinely forgot when after that. I've just got a few things to pick up, and then we went to get in the car, and she brought one of the big, huge IKEA bags out, and I was like, oh dear. And then it was like, you got this and this and this and this, and I was like, fuck, that's a lot of stuff. But it's awesome, and it's nice to support a small independent shop as well, especially at this time period. So it makes it that little bit nicer as well. But we've got a load of stuff for him to play with now, so it's unfortunately being kept for Christmas and birthdays, which is something I can't do.
No.
I don't know if what Dave's like with his kid, but I'm one of those that if I buy something, he has to have it straight away. It's not because I'm like, oh, I can't live without it. It's just like, I want to see his face right now. Yeah. So yesterday, I went to a couple of shops yesterday to do the normal shopping and whatnot, and come across a Mickey Mouse that's got 70 different phrases it responds to and sings and tells stories and jumps and runs and walks and everything and I was like, oh, he needs to have that. So I bought it and then realized that you can also buy a mini that goes with it, and they hold hands, so they've got Velcro hands, and then if you say together, they'll both sing songs together and play together and run and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, I can't justify spending that much just for two of them. So he can have Mickey, and if he plays with it, then maybe at Christmas or whatever, we'll get him the mini. That's fine. So we done it, and then with it being the weekend, it was the family one. So we went to Ash's mum's and sat in the garden doing the social distancing. And then I was like, oh, while we're here, and Oliver was just running around the garden like a loon. I jumped out to the car, got the Mickey, and I was like, what's this? And he was like, oh my God. And he was so excited. He gets when he gets really excited, he does he tenses his hands into fists and stuff, and he's like, yeah, he screams and he's dead excited, and he was laughing his head off and buzzing over it. And I was just saying to her mum, his nan, just going oh yeah, they're doing mini as well. And 5 minutes later, she comes out with money and she goes, can you buy him the mini for me? I was like, yeah, no worries, I'll get it, you can have it. And she was like, oh yeah, if you want to bring it next time around. I was like, oh right, so you're like me then. He's like, you can't buy stuff and just be let's put this away. So next time we go around, I haven't unboxed it or shown him the mini yet, but next time we go around, I'm going to take the Mickey, and then he can have the Mickey and the mini, and all hell can break loose.
Of course.
But it's amazing. When it says it walks and runs and stuff, I was like, yeah, great. But he literally...
Is this what this pod has turned into? I know we're we cover gadgets and collectibles and movies and now we're on to kids' toys.
Well, it's predominantly that, and it's also the fact that it's me and you, mate. So I'm trying to make up this hour time. So if I could tell like a half-hour story about Mickey Mouse, because nothing else has happened this week.
Nothing at all. Nothing, I mean, but also don't think I don't see exactly what you're doing. Like we've talked previously about your desires to go back to Disney World, just go back to Florida generally. I think we talked about that regularly in person, probably a couple of times on the pod. And I know your better half is always just like, will you stop saying we're going back to Florida? Can we go somewhere else? Let's go anywhere else. You're really, really trying to build Oliver into the world's biggest Disney fan, I'm guessing.
Oh, it's great. So what we've started doing
no choice then.
When like I wake up with Oliver in the morning, I'll put Disney Plus and stuff on.
Yeah.
And even if we don't watch a film, I'll just keep on putting on loads of films so that the Walt Disney Castle, Cinderella's castle, just like it appears at the front. I'm like, oh, see that castle? And I was like, look at this. This is in a magical place called Florida. Disney World. So I'll show him so he knows it. It's getting ingrained in his head. A bit like Clockwork Orange. And he's just having his eyes like put up and he's like, you love Disney. Disney's amazing.
If any social workers are listening to this podcast,
you're like, you're half. Just ignore that.
She doesn't listen, it's fine. Ignore any of that. He's joking. He's trying to bring it back into our world, into the Nerd OD world. By linking it into a cult film. Well done, Reg.
I do try.
Speaking of thing with your eyes held open to force you to watch something, did you force yourself to watch the little Sony announcement that happened the other day?
Right, okay, so prepare yourself for the next, how long have we got left? 45 minutes? 45 minutes of Reg going, oh, because... Oh, yeah. It's and like I know I always get excited at E3 and stuff when they do these reveals and stuff, but usually a console launch, it's great. You're like, oh look, yeah, everything looks really nice. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna have all of like 3 games at launch, and none of them are going to be that great. And it's like you're gonna have if it's Xbox, you're guaranteed to have a Halo. More likely you're going to have like Forza. And like Gears, those seem to be like their staples. Like you will have these because that's the iconic franchises. So people are like, oh, I need the next one, but it looks a little bit shinier on the next gen. So I'll hold fire for 6 months while nothing else gets released on it.
When we finish going through this, can we circle back and just briefly talk about your favorite launch lineup, but not now?
Right. Okay. Fair enough. I was like, right, okay, I'm interested in just mainly to see what the PS5 looked like, because we'd already, been teased with like the accessories and, there's rumors going around about what sort of games would be coming out. So I was like, well, we know the most, but they never shown off the actual console. So I was like, I'm going to watch it. I don't know if I'm going to be able to live watch it because at the time we were doing the D&D podcast. So as a little spoiler alert for people, if you're into the really nerdy stuff, we are launching a brand new podcast, which is going to be a weekly foray into our very first ever Dungeons and Dragons game.
Yeah, but just to backtrack there, Reg, not if you're into the nerdy stuff, if you're just into entertaining listening, because
in fact,
it was great.
To be fair,
it was genuinely good.
I was so dubious about finally starting this off.
Yeah. So we practiced, hadn't we? And I wasn't really getting into it. And I know you enjoyed it because you've been waiting to do it for so long. I think the other 2 guys did as well. Doddy enjoyed being our dungeon master, but I just could not get into it. But something happened last week when we recorded, and it just clicked. And it was so much fun, and I really hope it stays like that. Everyone was on it. Was. Everyone had their storylines. It was it worked. So it's a good entertaining hour of your life, which I would thoroughly suggest you have a listen.
It really was. I mean, to to be fair to the whole thing, I did say I was into the nerdy stuff, but it's now more mainstream than ever. Like everybody seems to be getting involved in either watching or playing or wanting to know about. And it was something that when we started doing the practice, I was like, you know what, it's good, but I don't know if it's just because I listen to a lot of like, you know, the other D&D podcasts that I won't name for now, into this, that we're just not as good as that. And I think maybe that's part of the enjoyment is because they were so entertaining in it. Yeah. So I thought, you know what, I hope it's going to be fun and I hope it's going to be good. But if it's anything like the practice run, it's probably not going to be that great. And then literally I did the intro and I was like, right, here's my character. Here's a very brief rundown on it, because apparently we weren't going to be spending much time on our backgrounds. And then you just lay out this awesome character, which is brilliant. That was the point. Spent a good amount of time on it. And I was like, amazing. And then Dave did his, and then Steve did his, like, oh, I never bothered doing this. I'm going to quickly do it now. I was like, I really want to go back and like tell my whole like novella of what my backstory was.
When we start next week, when we start episode 2, you can make this exact point and just say, felt really bad that I didn't get to do the whole thing, so I'm going to just lay it out now before we get started.
Yeah,
and that's fine. I'm happy for you to do that.
But yeah, I was curious, and also because the fact that, like you said, you weren't really enjoying it, and I was like, I don't know how long this is going to last until Dan's like, oh no, I fell off the side of the boat.
Oh, absolutely.
And then 100%. That's it, gone. And I was like, right, okay, this is going to be entertaining then. But it was brilliant, and I haven't enjoyed, and I don't mean this sound bad in any way, but I've not enjoyed recording anything for so long like that. I had such a laugh, such a joke doing it. It was phenomenal how entertaining that was. Not to take any of the enjoyment from this, because I love doing it.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
I love doing the G.pod. But this was just something else. And I hope, like you, it remains like this the entire way through, because it's just so enjoyable.
For everyone listening, it's called Nerd OD&D.
Oh, such an original title.
Yeah, it's great, you know. So yeah, probably by the time you hear this, you'll be able to get it on iTunes and on Stitcher and on Spotify and on Google Podcasts and wherever you get your pods from, as all the adverts like to say.
I love it. But for now. So we were recording that episode.
That's right. Sony were having their own little episode.
Sony were being so rude at the same time to display the reveal of the PlayStation 5. Now, my opinion was, I thought it was going to be a very similar looking console to the PS4, because Sony don't really change much. They change a bit of the top, and
I don't know. I feel like each of theirs has had a. To be fair, same with Microsoft's mostly, but I feel like they've all had their own little unique look to them. Maybe a little bit square. You know, the PS2 with that.
It's one of those
that shelf that stuck out.
You know it's a play. If you look at if you didn't know. Yeah. What the PS4 was, for example, so you could look at it and be like, "That's going to be the PS4," like that's the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And then you'd look at the Xbox and be like, "Yeah, that's definitely the Xbox." Whereas the Xbox Series X, like, just that block, like, that's just insane. Like, I was like, they put no effort into the design. Now I know it's a huge cooling tower, which is needed now, because as we're all fully aware, everybody's PlayStations and Xboxes do sound like they're going to take off.
Yeah.
Especially mine. Mine genuinely, I believe, does start vibrating at the ready to take off. And it's insane. So hopefully...
Yeah, well, part of that will be the fan, and part of that will be the hard disk and all sorts just spinning up, won't it? So that's one thing that's taken away. Apparently, I'm sure we'll get to it all, but apparently 50% of why this console can do what it can is because of the solid state hard disk and the way that it accesses information.
Exactly. So if you've got an SSD in your laptop or PC, you're already fully aware. You turn it on and it goes, and it's loaded so quick.
Yeah.
There's so many different processes.
But supposedly the system that everything uses to access a hard disk has like a bottleneck. So there's not really much more you can get out of it. The speed of that, you could ramp up the speed of a hard disk, but everything else is going to get in the way. So they scrapped all that and they designed it from scratch. So the actual, the processor and everything accesses that information in a totally different way than it normally would. So it can do it. I don't know what the stats are on it, but a lot faster, multiple times faster. And up until, when was it? Thursday. What all we'd really seen was, they showed off what's it, Godfall, wasn't it? Like that, a little bit of that. But then we saw that Unreal Engine demo, and granted, it looks incredible. But this was the first time we sort of saw that with actual gameplay and something we're actually going to be playing in the next 6-7 months.
Yeah, I can't believe how quick it's coming around. It's absolutely crazy.
It's the Rona, isn't it?
In time,
Rona's
it's happening in time for the holiday season, which is awesome.
Holiday.
It's a Christmas time. In terms of, it's about October time, isn't it? Really, when it's coming out, October, November.
Yeah,
they haven't given an actual release date as of yet.
No,
but that's what we're going to be looking towards, I think, around October, November time. Now, the reveal itself, the video, I lost interest straight away in this. Reason being is you do not, and I mean this in the nicest way possible.
You don't kick off with
fucking Grand Theft Auto 5. This is a title that was released on the PS3.
Yeah.
They brought it to the PS4. Mm-hmm. Now they're bringing it to the PS5.
Yeah.
If you want people to get excited from the get-go, don't fucking start off with the PS5. It's like, oh, guys, by the way, you're going to have all this amazing content and online's going to be free for the PS5. Fucking who cares?
It felt like when I started watching it, because it was before they'd even had any sort of talking heads, the head of Sony hadn't come on the screen yet. It felt like a trailer before the actual thing.
Yes.
Just like, oh, by the way, Grand Theft Auto's out. Oh, and it will be on the PS5.
Yeah. Just in case you haven't played it and bought it 6 times.
Yeah, well, there you go. Here's the 7th time. But this is the thing. Has it ever dropped out of the top 10?
I don't believe it has, mate, to be fair.
Insane. Absolutely insane. That's why they don't want to make a GTA 6. They just don't need to.
No. Not in the slightest. I was waiting for the whole thing to end on Red Dead Redemption 2, the Ultimate Cowboy Horseball Edition.
That's it.
But that never actually came through, which is insane. But yeah, the minute, but the minute that finished, and then they started showing off like Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and stuff.
Yeah, but again, a weird one to then. A weird order to do things.
It is, but at the same time, one of the biggest exclusives and games that sold so well on the PS4.
True, and the fact that it's come out afterwards is that it's not a fully fledged sequel. It's it's an enhancement of the original game. It's a whole new storyline based on the original game, souped up for the PS5, but it's probably going to be, a third of the size of the full Spider-Man game.
Yeah,
at least from what we're hearing.
In terms of what the Lost Legacy is like for Uncharted.
Yeah, exactly.
A great, huge title. It's still going to take about 20 to 30 hours to play through all of it with like the side missions and stuff. But it won't have the vast, obviously, map and whatnot of what Spider-Man's got. But yeah, so I was going to say, when they started off with that, I was like, great. We'll get into the bigger games and the other games in a minute, but I do want to discuss how beautiful, in my opinion, the actual PS5 does look.
Yeah, I do like the look of it. I get people's criticisms of it in that it looks like a router or a cooling tower or something like that, like a fan. But I think when we see it in the flesh, I think it'll really sort of look the business. It
is the biggest console out of all of them when you start looking at like the infographics and stuff.
Right, I've not seen it in comparison to the PS4.
Yeah, it is a bit bigger than the PS4. Surprisingly bigger than the brick as well. The Xbox Series X, or the fridge, as they're calling it. It is bigger than all of them, but it's the design itself. Like Ash thinks it looks ugly, but I think it looks beautiful, and I think it's nice that they've gone, you know what, let's put some effort into it, because we know everybody has their console in the living space. Like this is where it needs to go in people's home, like in their rooms where they spend the majority of the time. They want it to fit in, they want it to look nice, and they don't want it to just be like, oh, here's another box with blinky lights on.
No, exactly.
And I think they've done that amazing.
I think the digital edition looks really nice and sleek because it's symmetrical, but then the disc version does look like it's just got this big bump, so it's a little bit that's a bit odd, but yeah, it is a nice looking console. I'll at least give them that. It's not just a cube.
Yeah, I love the fact that it's the multicoloredness of it. So it's like the white that's got the whole little shell that's coming through it.
Yeah,
or the nice little coat that there's
a lot of scope for them to release special editions in different designs as well. To be fair.
But I also love the fact as well that because of the way it looks like it is now, is that the camera's going to be able to rest nicely on top of it as well. Which, when you're playing on the VR, because they are going to be apparently releasing a VR version 2 coming out. So, you're going to have the PlayStation VR 2 headset at some point. It's been talked about. We know it's in the makings, but they didn't show anything off here.
No.
I'm glad they didn't, if I'm honest. Yeah. It's really not. This is going to be when they do their next E3 or whatever. Hopefully, they start showing it off then. But for now, the fact that you need to have the camera and the sheer volume of wires and stuff that you have with a PlayStation VR is phenomenal. So the fact that you'll be able to hopefully tidy it all up around the actual console itself, is going to be great. But I genuinely love it. And I love the little details. Like if you look closely into the white shell and stuff on the inside of it, it's actually got the face buttons mapped into it. So like the square, the X, triangle, circle, or cross. Sorry, not X. My bad. As it's coming through, so that was amazing. The fact that the DualSense 2 pad with the haptic feedback and stuff looks beautiful.
I really like the look. I thought that immediately. When they announced the controllers 2 months ago, and there seemed to be a lot of backlash on it, but I really like the look of them.
Yeah,
really stylish. First, it's probably the biggest change in the look since they originally released the DualShock.
Yeah.
Not even the DualShock, since they released the original PlayStation 1 pad.
The one downside with the PlayStation was that it always was. It was a guaranteed.
Yeah.
All that the change would be at the bottom. It says like DualShock 2, DualShock 3.
Yeah.
And then with the PS4, at least to put the touchpad on.
Yeah.
Just to make it look a little bit different.
And then the light, which 90% of the time is pointless unless you're using something with the camera.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the only thing I'd never could quite get my head around. I just didn't, when everyone's like, with like Resident Evil, the light, the colour of the light would signify your health, so you can see it. And I'm like, right, if I'm getting that absorbed into a game, I don't want to keep on going like, oh shit, my light's on red. I'm like, I can tell if you look at the watch on the game and stuff, but like, I don't see the point in that. I never did.
No, there isn't really one.
But yeah, I love the sleekness of this new pad, and I just think it looks beautiful. It's one of the. It actually made me, when I seen it, I was like, and because it came at the end of the event after what we're going to go through now game wise, I was like, this is the strongest, the best launch lineup of titles that I have seen. Like they went, you know what, we've kept you waiting, but this is the reason why we've kept you waiting.
This isn't necessarily I know what you mean in terms of
but not but show off what
absolutely.
what happened to begin with.
And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, when they announced the Series X, did they show any games off?
No.
Have they shown one, maybe, I think, since?
Yeah, they've kept games very, very quiet.
Yeah, I feel like they've done that wrong. Like, something like this, a big announcement worked brilliantly. Like a big, what is it, an hour and a quarter, that video that they put up?
Yeah, and it's worth every single second.
So many trailers.
So, and the beautiful thing is, it's only got, if you take all the talking head parts into account,
there's not much.
They literally only last for about 15 minutes in total in that entire process. The rest is just game footage. And it's impressive game footage, like very impressive. We were talking a few weeks back on the pod saying that we know for a fact that, we had our indication that we knew the graphics overhaul wasn't going to be what we expected Like because
some,
the PS4 and the Xbox One X are so powerful now, and the games look beautiful, likes of Detroit, God of War, like that type of stuff. You just look at them and you think, oh my god, that is stunning. Like, and like even Ash was like, and Final Fantasy 15 was quite an old title. I know Square are fantastic, just making things look
the graphics
stunning. It's like ever since the fucking, I mean, like the SNES days, always things look nice, but the PS1, when like Final Fantasy 8, the intro came in, I just remember being just my jaw on the floor going, oh my god, how can things get any better than this? This looks incredible. And then they were like, hey, here's 9. I was like, wow, like you're smashing it out the park. Like gameplay graphics might not look anywhere near as nice as your FMVs, but my god, your FMVs are the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed with my eyeballs. And now I'm just like, you know what, I don't think that after the PS4, I don't think you could get any better, and I'm happy with that. No, you can just focus on gameplay, it's fine. And then they're showing off like, a couple of next gen titles, and I was like, see, yeah, literally there's hardly any leap. It looks a bit shinier, it's probably going to run a bit quicker. There's not much. And then, like you said, the Unreal trailer came out, and I was like, fuck, take that back. This is going to be a game changer. And I was like, I wonder how many games are going to take full advantage of that coming through. And then they were like, hey, Reg, do you want to see what you're going to be spending the rest of your savings on? This, and this, and this. And I was like, oh, wow, I don't have savings, but thank you for thinking I did.
Everything is November, Reg, it's fine.
Well, I'm just hoping, that work picks up so I can be like, hey, bonuses, this is going towards my PS5. Because it just, like, I've like I said, I've not sat through one of these sort of videos of a console coming out and gone like, need that one, need that one, need that one, need that one, for so many titles. Like, there's so many, and unexpected titles as well.
I have only once, and that was the original Xbox. That's the only only home console that I bought day one. And granted, we worked at a game shop at the time, so you're in the thick of it. But yeah. I just remember being like, yeah, this is what I want to replace my Dreamcast with, or add to my Dreamcast with.
See, the sole reason I bought the Xbox,
Jet Set Radio and Shenmue 2X.
Shenmue 2X.
Fair enough.
That was literally the only thing that made me go like, this is going to be like smaller loading times, right?
Yeah.
I'll buy the Xbox then. So I bought the Xbox.
What, you could take photos?
Yeah. I bought the Xbox with Project Gotham Racing and Halo, obviously, to come through with, mainly just because I played the demo of Metropolis Street Racing on the Dreamcast magazine so many times with the Vauxhall car to win, like get the fastest time, and you can win the game and some of the goodies and stuff, and that car in real life. And I was just like, this is the best racing game I've ever played. And then they were like, oh yeah, so the sequel, Project Gotham Racing, is coming out on the Xbox. And I was like, oh, right, okay, I'll get that as a launch title. Then at least me and Dave can sit off and play this. It'll be fun, and I'll get that Halo, which is supposed to be all right as well. It took us about 2 weeks to open up Halo, literally out of the shrink wrap, because we were literally blasting through Project Gotham Racing so much and had such a ball doing it, and spending, I'd say, about half our night every time literally adding songs from the CD onto the hard drive. That's what my Xbox hard disk was full of, was Beautiful South, Bare Naked Ladies, and just random tunes to play while we played Project Gotham Racing, and just sitting off making playlists. It was incredible.
That's fair enough.
But yeah, so that was my my Xbox One. I genuinely, if there's something I'm interested in having from day one, I will try my best to get that console on day one. But most of the time, it's like with the last games, the last generation, near enough 90% of everything coming out was just the HD remake of all the PS4, like his fancy graphics. So I was like, that's a bit of a letdown. But this, like, coming out of the gate straight away with some like hugely immense looking titles, and like I'm for sure going to be a day one buyer, and I know I am. And I know I'll probably end up with day one purchase regrets, because everyone always does. But there's just so much that made me go, oh, please, that looks beautiful. That looks beautiful. So if we start off then,
okay, go on.
I suppose. So there's so many. I'm debating about which game to actually chat about first. But I think the one that surprised me the most when we're talking about solid state drives, Ratchet and Clank is a game series I've never really been that arsed about.
No,
it's been.
I was more a Jack and Daxter guy.
Yeah, it was all right to just pick up and have a little rag of. But it was one I've been like, oh my god. But the fact that this one is genuinely talking about like going into different rifts, into different planets, universes, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
It's like at the drop of a button and just literally jumping through a hoop and having a completely different landscape, just instant.
That's it.
Was just phenomenal. That's what the SSD is for. That's what shows how damn good that is.
The thing that we've sort of got this generation is there's so many games that do not want to have loading screens. You know, and there's plenty that do it brilliantly. There's so many that try and be really clever with it, but it's very clear what's happening. You look at something like, I can't remember which Mass Effect it was, I think it was the first one, and you get into a lift, and the lift would take 5 seconds one time, it would take 20 seconds another time, the exact same lift, because it's loading whatever is coming up, and it was very clever. And Shenmue 3, how obvious is it? There's I'm sure most people who are listening haven't played, or if they have played it, probably haven't got that far in it. But when you're in the final town in Shenmue 3, there's a section of this shopping street where it says, there's a sign on the wall that says no running. And as soon as you get to it, the run button stops working, so you can only walk. But then you've also got a table that juts out, so you've got to walk around this table and loop around these stairs just at walking pace when you're so used to running everywhere. And all that's doing is loading up the next section. But it's hidden kind of well. But look at it now. Look at something like Jack and Daxter. Look at Ratchet and Clank, where you're actually immediately, you press a button and you warp to a different universe or whatever. It's very, very clever, very impressive.
It is. It's stunning. And it looked really fun as well. It was one of the few ones that made me go like, I'm not really into this, but that looked really nice, and I was very surprised with that.
It looked like you're playing a Pixar movie, and that's exactly, there's the uncanny valley when you try and be too realistic with your graphics, but to be able to do something like that, where that when you see a Pixar film, it always is really cartoony people.
Yeah.
And then you don't fall into that. It can look incredible. They could do a landscape and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But, a person, great, you can tell that's a cartoon. And that's probably what we'll see more of, I think. I think more where it just looks like you're playing what you'd see in a movie.
100%. Like I was when I was watching it, the first thing that popped into my head was I was like, Pixar are going to have to step up their game now.
Yeah,
because genuinely we are playing their movies now. Like Kingdom Hearts 3 was basically Pixar. Like it looked immense. It looked so beautiful. When you play
story level, especially, you could really tell.
It was just like playing one of their movies. But now we can surpass that, and that's phenomenal.
Yeah,
the fact we can do that is.
It's like that. What's the game that got announced? Kira or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you want to move on to the next one, but that I had the same feeling. I looked at that and was like, this is like if Studio Ghibli and Pixar got together and made a video game, and that looked great. That is my sort of game. A bit sort of Beyond Good and Evil, maybe, that sort of look to it.
Yeah,
really like that.
You 100% got the feel it was going to be like that, didn't you?
Yeah, but also seemed to have an aspect of Pikmin in it, which was but
with all the little dudes running around.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that the whole thing wasn't just, look, here's that franchise you love, look at the new version of it. There was a heck of a lot of new
many
stuff.
Titles, many new franchises.
But also, they are really, I mean, quite sensibly going after a lot of indie games, because I think with downloading, indie games are really the thing that's taken off. 10 years ago, you'd have never had a game. People would never have bought a game like something like Firewatch. Because it wouldn't have got released on a disc, or if they did, you probably couldn't pay more than 10-15 quid for it because it's so short. Yet to be able to release a game at whatever $8.99 that you download, and it's sold millions and made their money back 10 times over. But maybe it's because they're releasing a digital edition that they felt that was something they had to maybe show a bit more of, because I think a few of those games didn't necessarily look to me like AAA stuff, but it looked really intriguing nonetheless, like that Return to Volcano High or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Goodbye Volcano High.
Yeah, that looked to me like, any other console launch, they probably would have never featured something like that. But for that to probably be a launch day title, 20 quid download, that really wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, like I couldn't get my head around if that's going to be like a visual novel or like what the it was intriguing enough, but it genuinely looked like you're watching a cartoon here. Like I don't know what it's going to be gameplay wise or anything. It just looked a bit like that.
Yeah,
but it looked great. But I think the likes of the indie titles now, they are probably surpassing quite a lot of the AAA titles in sales.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's because now there's power there, and there's the unique gameplay ideas coming through. It's nice for people to be like, oh, you know what, just slog through this open world title of like Assassin's Creed or Red Dead or GTA, for example, like for 70 hours. Like, I need something a bit different, and they can just go on the store, and they know now that the power, the power Minecraft has behind the world is insane, and that started off as a mini small indie title.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there's so many games like that now, like you said, like Firewatch and that sort of stuff, where people wouldn't have blinked an eye in the past, but now there's such a huge spotlight on indie games, and it helps the fact that I'd say 90% of AAA sort of like producers or developers now are slapping microtransactions and stuff into their games. Where they're like, you know what, I don't want to fund that anymore. Let's have a cheeky look at this one. What is it? 14 quid? Yeah, sod it. Go on.
Yeah,
I'll buy that.
Exactly.
And that's what they do. And the games are getting better and better and better. Some of them are absolutely phenomenal. And I've spent most of my time recently playing the likes of the indie titles. It's insane. But there's quite a few out there as well. Like the only one I couldn't get my head around was that Jet. The weird, like really far out like spaceship game that they shown off. That was the only indie one. I was like, no, I don't like the look of that. But the likes of
The Far Shore.
Yeah, The Far Shore. That was it. Yeah, it didn't intrigue me in the slightest. It
didn't really give you much of an idea of what it's about, though, I suppose, did it?
No, it was very dark, very murky. Didn't really show off the potential. It was just a bit meh. And then they go and show off the likes of Solar Ash or something, I think it was called, which is the complete opposite, another little mini indie title they've got coming off. And it looked like, again, it might not look amazing because it is a little indie game, but it's so colourful and bright, and like the gameplay ideas they're throwing out look great. So I was like, yeah, that's brilliant. And Little Devil inside that one, that looked awesome. Like that genuinely looked really surprisingly good. So I was very happy with the indie show off. I was very happy with a lot of the games coming through. And then there was a load of titles from developers that I never even knew were coming out. So they were going on about Ratchet and Clank, which was the Insomniac were like, yeah, okay, we're doing that, and then they were doing Miles Morales. So there's 2 games coming from them straight off the bat, and I was like, that's very impressive. And then you've got that Deathloop, which just looked like it was going to be balls to the wall fun. That's from Arcane Studios, I think it was, which is coming through. So
there's 2 Groundhog Day games, isn't there?
Yeah.
So, well, that one you can rewind time. The other one you relive the same day. It's Returnal, wasn't it?
Yeah, Returnal. Yeah.
That's it.
Which that looked beautiful. Like graphic wise, it looks beautiful. Like the landscape coming through to that planet, and every time she dies and she wakes back up again, it's like a brand new like world that's coming through, and like that looked gorgeous. Like the when she wakes up in the grass and you can see the flowers like blooming and stuff. I was like, yeah, that genuinely looks stunning. Whereas Deathloop was just like, here's Carnage. You want to see Carnage? Yeah, this woman's after me. She's going to try and kill me like so many times, and it's just like that looks like it's going to be so much fun. Like I'm well into that. NBA 2K21 really surprised me with how good. And like when you say Uncanny Valley, like that's getting towards that level now. Like the
realistic sweat.
Yeah, it's like when he's bouncing around the ground and stuff. I was like, right, okay, yeah, this looks all right. And then the more it was coming through, I was like, oh god, genuinely thought that was like him. I didn't expect it to be the actual title. Wow. I was like, that's surprising. And it just looked amazing. Like I'm not a basketball fan, game wise, but unless it's NBA Jam, that's the only one that is my jam.
NBA Jam is your jam.
It's just so good, and it's just like he's on fire from the backboard. It's just like so good and so entertaining. But these realistic ones, I can't get my head around. I'm not a basketball fan per se, so the games I know.
It's like give me NHL 95. I don't need NHL 2020 or whatever.
Yeah, we were. So I was going through all my old other consoles, like the Xbox One, the Xbox, and the 360 and stuff. And then the PS1, Dash was like, are you keeping like any of the PS1s? Like, what you doing? I was like, NHL 2000. I was like, yeah, I do need to keep that. And I was like, I know there's a reason I need to keep that, and I can't remember why I bought it.
Oh,
but the reason I bought it. And then I was like, oh yeah, if you put in a certain code, Bare Naked Ladies are the secret team in it, and I was like, that's why I'm keeping it.
Yeah.
It's the same as NHL Hits, I think it is, on the PS3. And the Xbox 360, Ryo Uzuki's a playable character in one of the teams.
Yes, I remember that.
Just randomly. So there's certain like sports titles I will have for silly things like that. But I'm not like, I remember trying Madden out because one of my mates is a huge Madden fan. It's the only reason he buys consoles is to play the Madden games. And he literally is massively into the NFL. And I remember him trying to teach me how to do it, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll buy it so we can play together." And after about 5 minutes, me going, "What's this?" and then laughing at the names of the plays and stuff, he was like, "Yeah, we can't play this together." And like, I never touched it since. I'm like, fair enough. It's just like I've got no joy apart from it was to play with you, so there's no point in me playing that, so that's fine. So yeah, that was a bit of a mad one, the NBA, but it did look beautiful. The one that really sort of stuck at me, and I'm very intrigued about, is that Ghostwire Tokyo.
Yeah.
So
I really like the look of it, and then it sort of started to get into what the gameplay probably is, and it just, I'm not sure it's going to be particularly fun to play, to be honest. It looked a bit sort of like a far too serious Luigi's Mansion.
Fair enough, but it's one of those. So when it starts showing off the Tokyo and stuff, when you start seeing the gates, I was just like, ooh, like it made me think straight away.
The atmosphere felt amazing to me.
Yeah,
like, it looked great. It looked really good.
And I was hoping it was going to be like a surprise. This is actually Project Zero. Like, I know Nintendo now own the exclusivity, or whatever hell you want to say it, for Project Zero, so we won't get another one on another machine that isn't a Nintendo machine for now, which is a shame. But the fact is, from the guy who created Resident Evil and the Evil Within and stuff, like I'm well up for that because his titles are always great.
Oh, is it? I didn't know.
Yeah, Shinji Mikami.
Right. Okay.
So you know it's going to be good.
Fair enough. There you go.
It was the headless schoolgirls running at you and stuff. I was like, God, that's creepy. But yeah, when it hit the first person mode and you just see the hands, I was like, interesting. So I want to play it before I pass the judgment, but it did look really nice. That was one that it's on my radar to know more about before I'm like, yes, I'm having that. But it did look really, really tantalizing, I want to say. I love the look of that. Hitman 3 looked crazy. Like, I didn't think that Hitman 2 did good enough, to be honest with you, to actually have a third Hitman come out.
No, not at all. But
it just sank. Like, and it was a fun game to play. The only downside with the Hitman games is that they have about 4 levels now, and then there's like, here's 40 missions inside these 4 levels. Like, here's an open world, like an open map to just do whatever you need to, but you need to assassinate that guy. Do it any way you want. And like, I had so much fun with the Hitman games doing that. But I just love a different variety of levels instead of just having like 4 or 5 like maps. You know, just please give us like a huge title to like loads of different maps, maybe just 1 or 2 missions in each one. I'm happy with that. I just want more of like variety in scenery, so to speak. But that looked really nice, and I think that potentially may be the end of that franchise. Thing from what they're trying to gear up.
Well, they're saying this is the end of this trilogy, at least, weren't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, as a little aside, there's a way of getting Hitman 1 for free on PlayStation. I can't remember the exact specifics of it. If you have a Google, it'll come up. People have worked it out. There's a demo version of Hitman 2 you can download. And there's an expansion thing you can add into it that gives you the levels from Hitman 1, so you can sort of play them within Hitman 2 without leaving. And it scans your hard disk to check if you own Hitman 1. But if you download the Hitman 1 demo, it sees that and thinks, oh yeah, great, there you go, you've got the first level. That means you've got them all. And gives
crazy.
you the entirety of the game. So yeah, go and have a look, folks. And see if
awesome,
Hitman 3 is worth having a go.
They are really fun to play. Like I said, I got the Hitman games off my mate because he loves them. So I was like, yeah, I will give it a go at some point because he's really excited to play them. And I was like, oh, at some point I'll just drop in and see what it's like. And then the choice and the way you can do stuff, I was like, yeah, go on, I'll have another go with this, and then another go with this. And I was like, yeah, that's fun. There's a couple of weird titles that they're releasing. That Pragmata, the whole weird new one from Capcom where you go the spaceman robot thing.
It's look Kojima, we can do a weird game too.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I got from that, because that was very crazy. It did look beautiful, but it looked
that was just a cutscene though, wasn't it? Let's face it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's the same as that Returnal. Again, I know we spoke about that looked crazy and that looked nice. Project Athena. This new Square title. Like, I know I said
there had to be
amazing stuff, but how that looked insane. Like, that looked a bit like that Unreal demo.
Yeah.
How beautiful it looked.
You said it before. You can always trust Square Enix to just really get the most out of a console's graphic power. They're just amazing at doing it.
And this is what they do from the get-go. Imagine what they're going to be able to do once they've learned all about the machine and what they can actually do to grasp all the final powers out of it.
Yeah.
It's going to be insane.
And when they do, then we'll see Final Fantasy 16, and that's when it's really peaked. Yeah,
100%. So until then, at least we can play that game Stray. That one about the cat.
One about the cat. One of the two about the cat.
Yeah, why was there 2 cat games?
Because people like cats.
It was just a weird thing to show off, though. Like, Stray showed nothing. You're going to be able to walk around a Tokyo or a town like that.
Well, it's just the future. All humans are dead, and robots populate the world. But robots and cats, basically.
Yeah, it just looked a bit weird. Like,
it did, but
but not weird enough to make me go like, oh, I need to play that. Like, the cat looked crazy like a cat. Yeah.
Well done.
I know that sounds stupid, but the fur and the whiskers and the reflections on the eyeball, like, it genuinely, that's what I mean about the power of this console. From the launch video, like the reveal videos, like, some of the titles are just crazy good looking. So I can't wait for like a few years down the line and you start getting the likes of the Detroits or the God of Wars and the Forza Horizons, that sort of stuff. Like,
absolutely,
it's going to be a wonderful generation. Speaking of weird ones, the new one from the Octodad guys, that Bug Snacks.
Oh yeah.
That's weird.
Absolutely. But again, a nice, easy indie game. Which, I mean, to be fair, that doesn't need to be a PlayStation 5 game.
No, not in the slightest.
And I'm sure it won't. It won't be. It'll probably be on everything. It'll probably be on PS4 and 5.
Yeah, it just looked mental. The one that it doesn't look great, but I can't wait to play it, is that Destruction All Stars.
Yeah, absolutely. I've wondered why we haven't had a reboot of Destruction Derby.
Play Wreckfest. So there's a free-to-play title on the PlayStation. One of my mates is genuinely obsessed with the title. Like, he can't go to bed at night before he has at least one destruction map.
Okay.
Like, he has to play it. And he's been like that for years now. It's a couple of, like, at least a year or two old now.
Right.
Started off in beta or something. He launched it like early access, and then he was like, "Yeah, I want to see what it's like." But apparently, it's still free to play it at the minute, and he is obsessed. But that is a Destruction Derby type game. But yeah,
awesome.
You are right. Like, it's Psygnosis should really like step up their game and be like, "Hey, here's a new Destruction Derby," because they were brilliant, good fun. Like, just brainless, so much just wanton carnage.
Yeah, and to be fair, this looks like it's got some elements, but then also you've got some sort of weird on-foot melee component to it, which just seems weird.
I'm thinking that maybe your car comes back, or you can steal someone else's car if your car gets destroyed and it's the last person standing.
Could be.
But it looked great. It looked really entertaining. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I need one of those types of games in my life. And I think that could be it. But while we're talking about old school games as well, how awesome did Oddworld Soulstorm look?
It did. Again, it doesn't need to be a PlayStation 5 title. But it's really good to see it back in its proper form.
Yes. 100%. So it's been years since we've had an Abe game in the Oddworld series.
An original one, exactly.
Yeah. And it's so nice to have it back. And it looks.
I really like 2D games with a 3D twist. I really like the way they do them sometimes. Just keep it nice and simple on a 2D plane, but just give it that extra depth and it just looks beautiful, absolutely beautiful. But keeps all the original sort of gameplay styles from Oddworld and Odyssey and Exodus, and none of Blooming Munch's Odyssey, which was just it was an absolute mess.
It's the only one I wasn't a fan of.
No.
Like, I love Stranger's Wrath. Stranger's Wrath was great.
Stranger's Wrath is great. I've got that on the Vita. I do play that every now and again. It's a really good game. But yeah, Munch wasn't very good. And the Oddworld New and Tasty was, well, I mean, it just showed that it was time to do a new one. And they've been working on this for ages, absolutely ages.
They have, yeah. Well, they went indie in order to remain get creative control and make sure they had that, because apparently everyone wanted to take it away from them. So
I don't know why. It's not necessarily that big a franchise.
No, not the slightest
much anymore.
But it was that looked awesome. The one that I'm dubious about. So we were talking about VR before, and they did the Astro Playroom, Astro's Playroom. Sorry. So
I get they need to have games that appeal to everyone, but you've got a good couple of kids games that look decent. If this isn't just a demo that you get, built into the console,
it is going to be preloaded into the console.
Okay,
and it's going to be free to play it. What they were saying, but the reason they're doing it apparently is to show off like the different features and all the different things you can do with the VR, with the
controller.
Sorry, but Astrobot on the PSVR is such a good platformer.
Yeah, I get that the VR that
needs to be in VR, and seeing him not in VR now is just, I'm like, no, he needs another title to go with VR.
Well,
it was like the Mario World, so to speak, of like PlayStation. It was just, it was so fun to play the 3D platformer like that. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when the I think it was when the PS4 got announced, and they showed off that, because they showed off the controller and how you could
with Playroom.
Yeah, exactly, and how you could suck him into the controller, and then you could shake him about, and you could hear him in the controller when you shook it, and you could fire him out at the wall. So I get that. I get that's their sort of their mascot, which didn't really take off, but at least, yeah, I mean, I've not read anything further about it, so it's good that you've confirmed that it's not going to be a chargeable title. Yeah, it's going to take a valuable space on that 800 gigabyte hard disk, though.
Yeah, you're 100% going to need to get a brand new like 12 terabyte hard drive for the amount of titles, because these are going to be huge. You've seen how big the downloads are now for the likes of Warfare or Warzone, or whatever. Like they take up 3/4 of your fucking hard drive.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Like, these titles now are going to be phenomenally huge. Like that Godfall, that looks amazing, but that's the sort of game that, if you remember Kingdom of Amalur, I think it was.
The name rings a bell. Yeah,
which is one of the most underrated, underappreciated titles I've ever sort of played. Like, I genuinely played through that title about 3 or 4 times on the PS3. It was brilliant. It's not RPG, but it's like a hack and slashy type of RPG, like Fable. If you picture Fable, but serious, and just like just so much bigger, and like not just in map size, but the bad guys and the weapons, everything was about it was just huge. It was a stunning title. It's been apparently the remastering it, and doing like the HD remakey, glorifying it for the PS4 as well. But this Godfall reminded me of that. Right, okay. I think it looked real, but this obviously looks just gorgeous. But it looked brilliant, but I just couldn't get the vibes of Knights of Amalur out of my Kingdom of Amalur. Sorry, it was out of my head, and it made me really want to go back and play that. And that's when I was like, "Oh, they're doing a HD remaster, right? I'll have to get that instead, because that looks really good." So I will be doing that. Sackboy, as well. We're talking about platformers, and they announced that one. That's going to be a weird one, because that's a 3D platform, the likes of the new 3D Marios and stuff.
That was the other one, exactly. And great, that just made thingy Astro Boy or whatever he's called, Astro Boy, definitely not Astro Boy,
definitely not Astro Boy,
Astro Bot, just looks so poor. And like, why are you showing this off in a showcase event for your amazing console? But yeah, good. I mean, I'm glad. I think the Little Big Planet games, I don't think quite sold as well as they ever hoped. Especially sort of, as they went through when it got into number 3. From what I heard, that didn't sell that particularly well, but they've at least got a good little mascot in the form of Sackboy. So
with the thing with 3 is after 2, Media Molecule wanted to start Dreams.
Yeah.
And Sony were like, no, you're giving us Little Big Planet 3. And they went, no, give it someone else. So Sumo Digital came in and went, right, we'll do 3 for you then.
And now they've got the character. So
yeah, and that's why obviously that it wasn't as good as what 1 and 2 was, because and I think people knew that, and I think that's why people were like, yeah, it's not great. Like me and the wife loved playing the Little Big Planet games, as infuriating as they can be when you're doing it co-op together.
Yeah.
Like, it is so much fun, but the fact that this is now a 3D one, like, it takes away. Like you said, I love the 2D games pretending to be on 3D planes. Like, that is a great sort of platform, and that's why I love like the new Super Mario Brothers and stuff instead of like Super Mario Worlds and that sort of stuff. But I don't know if I'm going to be sold into this, to be completely honest with you.
No, it just seems like a run-of-the-mill platformer.
Yeah.
It was Media Molecule that did Tearaway, wasn't it?
It was.
See that, because when that came out originally, it was Vita only, and then they re-released it, slightly rejigged on the PlayStation 4. A couple of years later, as Tearaway unfolded. And I feel like that is a brilliant game. And I feel like that, because it came out on the Vita and then just sort of as a second dip into it on the PlayStation, really got missed.
100. I didn't even realize it came out on the PS4 until we were at an Asda in the middle of Wales.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, like in the bargain bucket for like $2.99 or something. I was like, how is
so good?
So I said, I was like, you will love this because all the different ways you got to do it.
Exactly. For a game that really uses everything about the console. You know, if you've got the camera, brilliant. If you don't, it's not a problem. But it all adds in, and the controller and using the light, like you shining when you go into a dark area in it. You turn the torch on, and the light on your PlayStation controller comes on, and then the light appears on the screen in the shape of the light of your controller. It's just little touches like that. It's so good, and looks great as well. So that I would rather see that back. I'd rather see another one of those than Sackboy or Astrobot, definitely.
Yeah, and the fact it's not even a full-blown Little Big Planet title, it's literally just the Sackboy, Little Big Planet Adventure. I'm like, right, okay, so it's a spin-off. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
The one that was leaked massively, but no one wanted to believe the hype about it, Resident Evil 8.
Yeah.
So when that started off, I was like, this looks really good. And I had a sort of like slight, I wonder if this is going to be it, just because I'd heard so much about the leaks and stuff. I was like, I wonder if it's going to be that. I'm waiting for it to turn up, but they never showed anything. And then when I seen the werewolf in, I was like, oh, so they did go down that route. And then it said Village, and I was like, holy shit, it is Resident Evil. Okay,
from what you see of it, it links into 7, does it?
Only for there's two things
set in the
that
past,
link into
right?
7.
By the looks of it, it looks like it's set. You know,
I don't know, mate. I think it's literally just set in a random.
I suppose it could be like The Village. In fact, the Village, the film The Village, more is what I went really was referencing how it looks like you think. Sorry, spoilers to a 20-year-old movie, but you think that you're watching a period piece, and then turns out that it's modern day, and they're just living like the olden days.
So this has Ethan. Who was the protagonist in 7, and that's what links those two together. And then right at the end, Chris shows up.
Of course, so it definitely can't be
someone. And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, what is Chris evil?" And then it was like Resident Evil.
Yeah, is any of the the original sort of cast or from the first few in 7?
Only in DLC.
Okay.
In DLC, you've got a free one as well. So when you complete 7, now you've got it. You need to complete it and play Not a Hero, which is the Chris Redfield side of it.
So to actually bring him into 8, at least to even announce him straight away is pretty big deal, because it ties it a lot more into the.
I think as well, because people kicked off that they only used Chris in the DLC just to be like, look, it is a Resident Evil title, because there was no reason apart from having the title to make the money for Resident Evil 7 to be a Resident Evil game at all. There's, you use the herbs and stuff. Yeah, of course you do, because it's Resident Evil. But there's the story, the locations, the characters, the whole the setup. There's nothing about it that screams this is a Resident Evil. It's just an awesome, and it is one of my best titles. If not, well, obviously it won't be, because Shenmue 3 was out on the PS4. Or that probably is my favorite title on the PS4. But mainly if you play it with the PSVR. If you play it normally, it's great. It is good. It's very good. But playing it,
but it's an absolute showcase for the VR, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh my days! Yeah, I think that's my favorite gaming experience ever. Is playing Resident Evil 7 in VR. From when I first started gaming up until now, I don't think I've experienced a more immersive, just so engrossing, so amazing. I don't really want to do this, but I know I've got to. It's gaming experience. It was phenomenal. And if they put that into 8, put the PSVR into 8, the VR Sport, which I pray they do, then you know what, I'm 3,000% behind it.
Yeah,
just amazing. So I'm genuinely stoked about that. So I think that was probably my favourite.
Oh, good.
I think that's coming
Is that
through.
a good place to finish?
Well, we haven't even mentioned probably the biggest surprise out of all of it. And I know for most people they'll be like, "No, really not that bothered." But for fans of the series,
yes,
the fact they announced that the beginning of it all is coming back with Demon Souls.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, their remake, so it's not even just like we're going to make it look a little bit fancy.
Yeah,
they've confirmed it's going to be rebuilt completely from the ground up.
I've always found that whole franchise a bit odd in that. So Dark Souls and Demon Souls aren't related in storyline, are they? It was just a new game that was sort of I guess based on it, the same sort of idea.
It's completely, if you didn't know the ins and outs of the titles at all, you could literally just watch someone play and be like, is that Demon Souls or is that Dark Souls?
Yeah.
Because playing it, they play absolutely near enough identical. I know people are going to shoot me down now, but they genuinely do. The only one out of Soulsborne's universe that's different is Bloodborne. Bloodborne completely mixes it up, and that's, in my opinion, the best one. But everyone is like, Demon Souls started it, this is the best one, oh my god. So like that just broke the PlayStation forums the minute that the shown. The bird flying over, everyone's like, fuck.
So I feel like I didn't, maybe I just missed it, but I only remember the excitement being about Dark Souls, and Demon Souls almost sort of passed by a little bit. I mean, clearly it didn't enough to, it did well enough for them to make another game that was similar. But
I think it's because people learn from Demon Souls to what sort of expect and what they wanted from it. And I think the people, when they made it, they realized afterwards, like, oh, we could have done this. And they've made a better version of the title in Dark Souls.
Fair enough.
But for the elitists, so to speak, which is the entire fan base, everyone will always say Demon Souls is the best. And they released it at the end of the PS3, which was like the mistake they made, really. It was like, okay, look at this title, it's amazing. It's also only coming out on the PS3.
Yeah.
So like, so that was a bit of a letdown. And then just finally finishing off on the PS5 reveal stuff with Horizon.
Oh, yeah, of course.
2.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Like, when you're talking about how beautiful games can look, like, that looked incredible. When I started watching it, I was like, this looks just stunning. And then when they started sort of zooming up on this character and you just seen the braids, I was like, shit, is this Horizon 2?
Yeah.
And then,
I feel like it's, when you look at some of the first party games and something like that, especially, that came out, it was a massive hit. They've had years and years where they could have gone, all right, here's a second one for your PlayStation 4. But how long ago did they go, right, we're getting there now. We're about 3-4 years away from the PlayStation 5 coming out. Let's make the next one in this, a launch or an early title. And that's really brave of them to just be like, right, well, I'm sure they're sacrificing sales because there just won't be anywhere near as many PlayStation 5 owners that can go and buy this game. But, sometimes you need a game like that. I did half expect some sort of God of War teaser, but I guess one or the other, let's face it, a God of War or a Horizon, I feel like they're sort of on a bit of a path for Sony PlayStation exclusives.
100%.
And if we didn't have Last of Us 2, we'd have had it for this. So...
Well, so the next time we talk, you'll be playing The Last of Us 2.
Yes, hopefully I will have had some time to play it after it comes out. But, there's a couple of more things we need to talk about, but they'll have to wait. But I feel like it would be much better, as we've been doing this podcast. The new Star Wars game got announced and officially revealed.
Well, not solely VR, but going to be amazing in VR. The full story and multiplayer in VR.
Save it for next week, Reg.
I will.
Because we'll get a couple of fellow Star Wars fans on the show for next week. We'll make sure that Dave and Sean are here. Dave especially, I know he'll have a few things to say about it.
Yeah, Steve, we're not really asked if he comes on it or not.
Fair enough. But it's been an interesting pod, Reg. I mean, that's been an hour of just solid PlayStation talk.
Yeah, apologies, but I did state, prepare yourself. 45 minutes of me waffling on about the PlayStation 5 reveal.
There you go.
And
you made it to an hour and 10, Reg, so well done.
Thank you.
Anywho, it's been fun. And then, in fact, we talked about our D&D foray, so go and listen to that, because that'll be out soon. I'm not sure when, Friday, I think that might have Friday. Anyway, not important. So, yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me, Reg.
And thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
As always,
right.
sir.
Thank you. I've been Dan.
And I've been Reg.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.